Numbers don't lie. 98% of women want a man that can make them laugh consistently. And in this video, I want to show you guys how you can use callback humor in your interactions to create massive amounts of attraction, spark a lot of emotion within these women while you're conversating with them, and ultimately just have a lot of fun. When you can do this, the interactions become fun, the women are really enjoying you, and they can become addicted to that feeling when you do it properly. So I actually want to break down a recent interaction I had. I'm going to go through everything that was discussed during the initial approach, and then I want to show you guys how I used all of that to create callback humor, and I'll even show it to you in the text conversation I had with that woman to go from the initial meetup leading up to the first date. Now, everything I'm about to teach you guys in this can be used in text messages, and it can be used in your in-person interaction. So whether you're going out making cold approaches, or you're doing online dating, or you're texting girls, or you're even going on date 1, date 2, date 3, these concepts are universal. That's why they're so powerful. I've taught myself to become very witty and use these callback techniques over and over and over again with anybody I meet, with males, to make more friends and really to just have fun in these interactions. So the first thing I want to do is I'll lay out the initial approach that happened, because I was recently in New York City running a 4-day live in-person boot camp. It was Thursday afternoon. I just flew in from Miami and I just got to my Airbnb. I was gonna go to the gym and work out, go home, shower, and then meet up with the clients to do our first day game session. And while I was on my way to the gym, I just thought to myself, you know what, like I should probably just warm up a little bit, get a couple interactions in, at least have a little bit of small talk to just get into a good flow. And so as I'm walking through Bryant Park in New York City, I gotta be honest, it's not my personal preference in terms of type of women. So there's a lot of people, but I didn't really see anybody that caught my eye initially. There was one girl that stood out to me after doing a lap around the place and having a little bit of small talk with people that I actually went up and made a legitimate approach on. And so I stopped this woman and we ended up having like a 20+ minute interaction. So I want to lay out for you guys the details of the interaction and show you how we're able to use these concepts in callback humor, either later on in the interaction or in the text conversation, or how you could even use this on a date later. So over the course of that 20-minute interaction, some of the things that were discussed was she's a business owner. Okay, she has a team of lawyers that work beneath her. So people pay her and her team to put them on retainer, and then she handles a lot of cases virtually on Zoom. So she's very busy a lot of the time. She's from Australia. She was traveling around the world, essentially spending 2 or 3 weeks in New York City at the moment, and she was gonna be here for another week or so. Now, during the interaction, I also explained to her that I was here hosting a live event and that I teach men confidence and dating. And the moment that I even said anything around that, she said, "Oh my God, you're a pickup artist," which, by the way, is very rare that a woman would just say that. I don't think that's actually ever happened to me. When I tell a woman that I teach men, I coach men online around mindset, confidence, and dating or communication, everybody's always interested, but she instantly stopped me and said, "Oh my God, you're a pickup artist. That's crazy. Are there cameras on me right now?" Like, she literally went like that. But also, she wasn't completely pissed off. She kind of said it in like this interesting way, like almost as if she had a decent experience with a pickup artist in the past. I don't exactly know, but it was a really interesting conversation because we then talked about my business and how I got into the business. And obviously there's a lot of bad negative correlations around the term pickup artist. And so I had to navigate that conversation pretty delicately. And I then spent a good 5 minutes in the interaction actually just building trust and comfort and connection. So I did explain to her a little bit more about my upbringing, how I got into the business, showing her a little bit more genuine side of me. And we really just connected. We actually had an amazing vibe. She's a really smart girl. I mean, full disclosure, she even recently ran a TED Talk. So this is a girl who's a lawyer, who has a team of lawyers beneath her, who's ran a TED Talk, who's traveling the world. And she's also very aware of the pickup industry. So this is a very interesting interaction. So once I got her number and I stayed in the interaction, she was actually down. She was free in that moment to continue hanging out with me. I just had a really busy afternoon lined up, so I needed to leave. And she said she was gonna go to the library that's at Bryant Park and go study. There was like books that she wanted to read and catch up on some studying. And so I got her number about 15 minutes into the interaction. I stayed in it for another 5 to 7 minutes and mentioned to her that I'm gonna be out on Friday night and Saturday night with a bunch of clients if she wants to come out and have fun. And maybe even help, kind of in a joking way. I said help, but really it was just inviting her out to join us over the weekend. And what I'll say is she was down to meet up with me again. Like, she was actually in New York City completely by herself. She had no plans right then and there. Like, if I wasn't running an event, I would have just stayed with her and led her onto an instant date right on the spot. Granted, I had this time constraint because I'm trying to go to the gym and I got 5 clients that I'm meeting up with in a little bit. So I didn't rush out of the interaction, but I didn't lead it anywhere. One thing to point out is that when I was getting her number, in a joking way, she actually said, save me as blank Bryant Park day game. Right? So she actually said it as a joke. Like, it just goes to show you how much this girl actually understands about pickup. She was like, yeah, save me as Bryant Park day game 1. And so now that we understand all the details around what was discussed, I want to show you how you could take those concepts and actually use them as callback humor. And you could do this even in that same interaction. Like, you could actually create these jokes in the same interaction. You could do it in the following text conversation if you guys end up having a phone call after that, or even on the next meetup, date 1, date 2, date 3. And before I get into this text breakdown, guys, if you're not even approaching, if you're not getting into enough interactions, if you're not landing dates consistently with the quality of women that you want to be with, click the link down below. You can apply to work with me one-on-one to increase your social confidence and land the dating life you've always dreamed of. Let's get into this text breakdown. Now, for those of you that have been following me, you probably know that I'm not big into texting. And that is very true. I very, very rarely text women. So this is a rare text breakdown that you'll see from me. And I also want to point out that this is not typically the text style that I even run. I just so happened to be in a good mood the following day after meeting her because we were out all night. I was in a crazy social flow. I met her on Thursday. This is Friday afternoon now, and I'm heading to the gym. And I text her, and she responded instantly, like literally instantly. I think it was on the same minute marker. Yeah, you could see I texted her at 12:31 and she literally responded at 12:31. So instantly I got a text back, which is a good sign that you ran a solid interaction. But because of this, we just had a really long text combo, but the whole text combo was only about 10 minutes. So I was just kind of rapid firing because of how responsive she was. And I was genuinely bursting out laughing throughout this interaction. So this is why I thought it would be really good to break all of this down. So my opening message to her was actually 2 hours after I met her on Thursday. I just sent my name with an Italian flag emoji. All right, so I sent that. That's just a common practice that I'll do. She didn't respond to that, which is also worth noting because a lot of men that send that first message, they don't get a response back and then they think the girl ghosted you. It's like, no, you're gonna need to follow up. So I texted her using callback humor to open up the interaction the next day. And I said her name, ... which was the first message. Then I put right below that, the Bryant Park DG1. Okay, so this was a callback joke to what she initially told me, which is save her as Bryant Park. So I said, the Bryant Park day game 1. But below that, I sent another message that said, and only, with a winky face, saying that like she's the one and only. Now, this girl, actually pretty funny, comes back and says, haha, only one? I guess that first hour is tough. So she's kind of implying like I didn't pick up anybody else, which I thought was actually hilarious that she sent that. Now, I'm also texting her at the same time. So I also said good morning with the coffee emoji. I then replied to her message that said, I guess the first hour is tough. I said, no, for real though. Next message is, I think I need coaching. And then I also said, do you know of anyone? Okay, so obviously this is a clear callback joke because I'm the coach and I'm running the event. So it's like, do you know of anyone? And then she messaged me at the same time saying, you'll have to tell me about all the conquest subsequently. Meaning like, you're gonna have to tell me like what happened. She then replied to, do you know of anyone? And said, I can help you, but my rates aren't cheap. So you can see that we're already getting into this fun, funny banter, which is just keeping it very lighthearted. Like I'm not asking her, hey, how's your day? What are you up to? What did you have for lunch? What is this? We're not even talking about anything. Like this is a fake, funny, hypothetical situation that we have going on. So she says, I can help you, but my rates aren't cheap. I then go back to another callback, which was discussed during the initial interaction. I said, I'll put you on retainer, but next message, if I'm paying you, I'm gonna need your undivided attention. No virtual Zoom court cases mid-session. So all of this is just like, this is all just callback humor from what was going on during the initial interaction. And you can see like how quickly she's texting back. We're actually messaging each other in between the messages. So she said, let me check my client list. You may need to queue up. I have a busy clientele. I can't serve everyone. I then came back and said, bro, It's called delegation. You're a business owner, you should know this. Now, some people might say, well, dude, you're calling her bro? Like, what are you doing? Like, you're just gonna get friend zoned here. And that's not the case. I would honestly say that this is actually a playful, slight neg, actually. And I can also get away with this considering my value and my position in this interaction. Because of the fact that she knows that I teach pickup and I'm running this event, I can get away with calling her this there. As long as I don't continuously do that, like the whole interaction, it's actually okay to do this, a tiny little thing up front, as long as the dynamic changes later on. So that's just like a subtle thing. But I kind of do it in like this joking, teasing way, right? So don't be afraid to call girls bro initially. You don't want to abuse it, but some of you guys can get away with it, especially when you're in this fun, joking vibe. Listen, we're only 2 minutes into this interaction. Like I literally opened it at 12:31. It's 12:33. We're just having fun right now, okay? And that's fine. I'm genuinely having fun with this. I haven't invested much time. I've invested 2 minutes. And really what I want to do is in the upcoming minutes, I'm going to have a little bit of back and forth with her, you'll see. But in the upcoming minutes, I do move it towards the idea of us meeting up again. So she says, there are some clients that I only personally service. It's called the VVIP list. She then fires back and says, bro, it's called exclusivity/rarity. You're a coach, you should know the business tactic. And then I said, damn, ... She hit me back with the bro. But this is a different type of humor because like I don't even respond to anything she said. I actually just comment on the one word that she said because she fired back on me saying bro. So I even commented on that as a completely different way of teasing and joking. She replies back to that and says, anyone that doesn't text me same day is a bro. And so I thought this was an interesting message because she actually is showing me for the first time that she was kind of, I guess, upset that I didn't text her the same day. Like I got her number, even though I actually did text her at 5 p.m. with my name. The initial interaction was at like, I don't know, 3 or 2. So I did technically text her, but I just thought this was interesting that she sent this saying anyone that didn't text me same day is a bro. I then said, are you talking about yesterday? Haha, wow, needy much. So you can see I don't apologize. I'm not saying sorry. I'm not being like, what are you talking about? I texted you. I actually go bigger with it. I'm like, ha, wow, you're really needy. So she came back and she said, it's called priority. I then said, I didn't want to interrupt your studious library session. So this was another callback joke from earlier saying, well, like, yeah, you were headed to the library. Didn't want to interrupt your studious library session. So she says, haha, fair, so considerate. So then I come back and say, see, I do care. Plus, you weren't very enthusiastic about coming out this evening, so... And then I said, I need some reciprocation, boo. Right? So that whole message is kind of balancing out everything that's been going on. It's been very bantery, but it's almost been a little bit too much teasing. And so I thought this was a good opportunity for me to be like, see, I do care. But then I also threw in this tiny little thing that points out that she wasn't that enthusiastic about coming out tonight. And so I like throwing that in too, because it actually gives her a chance to step up and be like, well, no, I actually am down. And then also one more tiny thing, I went from bro to now I went to boo. I need some reciprocation, boo. And so this whole message was, in my opinion, pretty calibrated because I said, see, I do care. Plus, you weren't very enthusiastic about coming out this evening, so I need some reciprocation, boo. She then comes back and says, well, hey, put yourself in my shoes. Solo female traveler got hit up in the park by some random guy with sleeve tattoos asking her to come out to his coaching event with 5 or 6 of his male clients. Should you be concerned? And this is valid. Like literally, she knows I'm teaching pickup. She knows I'm on a boot camp. She may or may not have had a bad experience with it in the past, but she's like, well, I wasn't that enthusiastic because you're out on an event and you're asking me to come to your boot camp. Like, you know, who's this tattooed pickup guy? Like, would you be concerned? And this is true. There's a lot of validity to that. And this text combo is honestly just so rare and funny to me. I'm really just having fun with this, honestly. But I do feel like I play good text game here. I don't apologize. I don't do anything. I just say, got hit up. The only one that's continuously turning this into a day game pickup is you, LOL, which is true. She keeps bringing it back to, you teach pickup. This is a day game interaction. I got hit up. He's out with clients. And yes, some of it is true. And I understand that she has genuine concerns about these things, but notice how I'm handling this. I keep it all very lighthearted and move it forward. So she says, since there are so many PUAs roaming the street, it's tough being a pretty girl. Oh, but you wouldn't know. I guess you could even say these are almost like mini tests, really. They're not like actual shit tests, but you could see that there's just a lot of banter going on. And so I fire back again saying, guess I didn't realize how many PUAs are out there. My influence must be growing with a cool emoji. And now I balance it out with a little bit of genuine authenticity. And I said, to be honest though, I get it. Anyway, we'll be out this evening around 7 to 8. You should join in for a little bit. So we've had a bunch of playfulness going on. And to be fair, we're only 10 minutes in. So like, yes, this is a lot of texting, but it was just 10 minutes. Like I literally invested 10 minutes while I was walking from my Airbnb to the gym. And so I'm just texting and I'm literally laughing out loud, sending a lot of these messages. The other thing is I'm just inviting her to the thing that I'm already doing. So it's like, there's really not much investment or loss from my end. It's like, yo, I'm doing this thing. I'm running this event. If you want to join in, it's going to be fun. You should come, right? And I'm having fun using all of these different concepts of her being a lawyer, the retainer, the fact that I coach men. She has her own business. She was going to the library. She was unenthusiastic about coming out the first night. I mean, there's just so much callback humor you could see. So you guys need to start thinking about the details that were discussed in an interaction and how you could bring those up again later on to give the girl a little bit of shit or make it funny and playful. So she comes back and says, where are you guys going? Which is a positive response. At the same time that I said, we're gonna be out tonight at 7 or 8, you should join. I also simultaneously said, or tomorrow, whichever's better. Guess it depends if I'm VIP or VVIP. So this is callback to the conversation that happened 3 minutes before this. Like literally 3 minutes ago, she said, I have a VVIP package. And I said, we'll be out tonight at 7 or 8 or tomorrow, whichever one's better. And then I used the VVIP thing as a callback joke. I said, guess it just depends if I'm VIP or VVIP. And then I said, we'll likely be at Mr. Purple or 2:30 and 5th Rooftop. Wanted to give you an 8-hour advance notice as requested yesterday. So again, just another callback joke because she said that she's really busy and that she usually likes to plan ahead. So I threw that in. She comes back and says, 8 hours is pretty last minute. Got plans today, but let me see what I can do, which isn't an ideal response. That's kind of like a, I'll let you know kind of a thing. What I don't like to do here is like start to beg. And so I usually like to combat a negative/neutral with another negative/neutral. You treat an indicator of disinterest with another indicator of disinterest, right? So she says, I got plans, but let me see what I could do. It's kind of last minute. And I said, see, this is why I can't deal with other CEOs. And she says, why? Because you're last minute. And I said, I prefer the term fashionably late, but also because there can only be one leader of the group. And if you come, it will be me. So talk to your scheduling secretary and let me know. I actually really like this reframe, just making the whole thing fun and funny. I know I keep saying it, but I'm actually like laughing out loud while I'm just walking, having fun. I think the part that made it so funny for me is the fact that she was just so woke to the pickup industry and PUAs and day game and all of this stuff. Like that was actually really funny to me. And you could even see by a lot of her messages, she is very smart and has her own level of intellectual wittiness. So, you know, it's a rare thing that happens, and maybe that's part of the reason I kept going with the text combo. The in-person interaction wasn't as witty and funny as this. It was a little bit more flirty, a little bit more man to woman. And just to close this out, there wasn't much more than that. She just said 7 at Mr. Purple. I was like, no, 8. She said, oh, is that Hotel Indigo? Then I sent the link to the Google Maps to it too. And that was pretty much the whole thing that coordinated for the meetup up later that evening. One thing I do want to point out about this interaction, because I know a lot of guys will say this was too playful, this was too friendly, this was like borderline like too giggly. And what I'll say is that it just depends on the total package that you're presenting to the woman. Because if my presentation is a really weak guy and I'm really nervous and giggly and haha funny kind of a guy, and I really lack, I guess you could say, masculinity or some level of dominance or intensity or even sexual confidence in the initial interaction, then yeah, the texting, this would be a little bit too much. But what I could say is that like I came into this interaction with a very high level of status, and because of the industry that I'm in and the expectation that she already has around all that stuff, it's okay to be like this. If anything, it's actually better for me to be more on the funny side than more on the cocky, flirty side on the text too, because you're just gonna come off too much like this pickup guy. In my opinion, this was actually a good game. Some guys are gonna roast this, but I really think, considering how the initial interaction was, plus this woman's archetype as an individual, like her intellectualness with her sense of humor, I thought this was a great convo that we both had a lot of fun. And you could see, I mean, we're texting so much instantly. The girl's investment level is very, very high at that point. right? And so that's what you can do to really get her emotions high, to get her more bought in, to the point where I could probably even reach out to this woman months down the road if I'm ever in Australia, if she's ever back in USA, and meet up with her. And so this was a text convo, but again, guys, you can use these concepts in the exact same interaction, or later on when you're texting to follow up. You send 1 or 2 of these over a text interaction, can really spice it up. And you can even use 1, 2, or 3 of these on your next date. So when you met the woman, think about like all the details that were discussed. How could you turn this into fun and playful stuff later on the date when you see her? And it can really spice up your interactions to create more attraction and really to just have fun in these conversations. I hate texting, but when the texting's like this and I'm actually laughing, it's fucking fun, man. And that's what you want when you're interacting with girls. So hope you found value in this video, guys. If you're interested in working with me directly, okay, the content's great, but if you're not really approaching or going on dates with the quality of women that you want, click the link down below and apply to work with me directly. You can book out a free consultation call. We'll reach out to you to discuss more details. That's all for this one. Peace out.